Hello everyone, my name is Emiliano and I teach piano. We are on the road to improvisation. Today we are going to learn how to measure the difference between two notes, two pitches, in tones and semitones. To do that, I expect you to be able already to locate a note both on the piano and on the musical staff. That's it. So let's get going. We are on a quest to improvise. We want to be able to sit down at the piano and improvise, meddle about over a few chords and scales with relative ease. So we need to understand chords and scales, okay? In order to understand chords and scales, we need to understand what makes up a chord and a scale, the bricks, the components of a chord and scale. So we need to understand intervals. In order to understand intervals, we have to learn to measure, like a measuring tape, the difference between two sounds. Now, in the previous lesson, we learned that there are high sounds up high on the staff, and there are low sounds down low on the staff. We learned the direction of a melody. If the dots go up in this direction, then the music goes up. La 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 la. If the dots go down in this direction, then the music goes down. La 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 la. Music goes down. If the dots go up, the music goes up this way on the piano. If the dots go down, the music goes down this way on the piano. That's what we learned in the previous lesson. Now, to understand intervals, we need to learn how to measure, because it is a measuring process. It's like a measuring tape. We need to learn how to measure the difference between two sounds, between two pitches. The unit of measure that we use to measure the difference, somebody call it the distance, between two sounds, between two pitches, is the tone and semitone. On the other side of the pond, they call it whole tone or half tone. It's the same thing. Now, a semitone or a half tone is the smallest distance between two keys. So, for example, from this key to this key, from the C to the C sharp, it's a semitone, because you see, there's nothing in between. Two semitones equal one tone. So, if from C to C sharp there is a semitone plus another semitone from C sharp to D, that's a tone. So to recap, the shortest distance between two keys on the piano, it's a semitone. C and C sharp is a semitone. And so is C sharp to D. That's another semitone. Two semitones is one tone. And that's what we use to measure the difference between two pitches. So let's have some practice, shall we? What is the distance in tones and semitones between C and D? Okay. That's a half tone, semitone. Half plus another half is 1. 1 tone of distance or difference between C and D. What's the difference in tones and semitones between C and E? Half, 1, 1.5, 2. That's 2 tones of a difference between C and E. What is the distance or difference between C and F? You start from here, so you don't count your starting point. Half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, because you see there's no black key between E and F. So it's half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. It's 2.5 tones between C and F, and so on. Now, let's try something a little more challenging. What is the distance in tones and semitones between B flat and E? Start from here. Half to the B, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5 on the black key, 3. It's 3 tones of distance between B flat and E. I suggest everyone does a lot of practice, just counting how many tones and semitones there are between any 2 given notes. You can just practice at random. Look, you can take 2 fingers, bang, just drop them on the key. What's that? Between this key and that key, what's the distance in tones and semitones? So between this one, A flat, and F. Half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5 between A flat and F. It's 4.5 tones. Okay. Now I experience some people only counting semitones, okay, and not incorporating 2 semitones into a full tone. I would discourage that. Okay. Remember, 2 halves make a whole. It makes sense the American way, doesn't it? 2 semitones make a full tone. Right? To recap, we need to be able to count, to measure the difference or distance, so to speak, between 2 pitches, between 2 keys on a piano. Okay? And we do that, we treat it exactly like measuring tape. So, say, let's pick 2 notes at random, B and F. Yeah. We start from here, so we don't count this, because this is like your 0 on the measuring tape. That's the starting point. Half a tone, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3. 3 tones of a distance or difference between B and F, and so on. This is very important because it then enables us to calculate intervals exactly. Okay. I would like to demonstrate some of the utility of knowing tones and semitones in relation to the major scale. Now, let's pick our C major scale, for example, right? We have a C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Okay? Now, why don't we measure the distance in tones and semitones between each one of these notes, each one of these adjacent notes. So between C and D we have half 1. It's a tone. Between D and E, half 1. It's a tone. Between E and F, we only have a semitone. Between F and G, half 1, a full tone. Between G and A, half 1, a full tone. Between A and B, half 1, a full tone. Between B and the next C, it's only a semitone. You see? What do we end up with? We end up with what I call the building plan for any major scale. So if we start from C, up a tone from C, a tone, up a semitone from E then, up a tone, up a tone, up a tone, and up a semitone. Tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. It's the building plan for any major scale.